you get married to him, and you didn't really even have a honeymoon phase, eh? Because
No,
the abuse started
not at all, because
immediately.
we got married in Jamaica. We came home to Jamaica and we got married in Jamaica. And he met all of my friends, of course, all of my family, and we went back to Pittsburgh. And shortly thereafter, the abuse started. And you kind of, you know, when we were speaking before, and I said that people wondered how I allowed this to happen to me. You don't allow this to happen to you. And it's not about you. You are the victim. And too many people, I have done a lot of work in this area, counseling women who have reached out to me to help them through this situation. And it's very hard to get from the point of blaming yourself to the point where you say, it is not what I have done. It is not anything that I have done. And in fact, when I was going through this, I kept trying to figure out what it is that I had done that would cause this man to be doing this to me. And it took me a while to realize that I didn't do anything. I was just me.
Yeah.
The same me who he was attracted to before we got married. The first thing is, this doesn't happen to people like me. You know, in Jamaica, there was this view, and I think that probably it still exists, that is only poor people have this experience. Here I am. I'm a big lawyer. I'm an important person in the society. And I found myself in a relationship where somebody was abusing me. And my initial response to that was to be ashamed. I was ashamed that I made a choice to marry somebody who could do this to me. First of all, I didn't believe it was happening to me. And then secondly, how could I have put myself in this situation? How could I have done that? And so the shame was there. I didn't tell anybody what was happening to me. And as you say, as close as my family was, they didn't know. And for many, many years, even after I started talking about it, they had no idea what it is that I went through.
Okay, I'm going to stick up in there, and you're going to talk to me a little bit about the extent of the abuse. You pretty much made up your mind when you saw what was going on that you were going to go, Aloun.
Yes.
But you ran up into a complication.
Yes.
You got pregnant.
I got pregnant shortly after I got married. And by then, I knew that I was not going to stay in this marriage. And I also knew that if I had this child, I would be bound to this man for years to come. And I prayed. I prayed to God that he would take a child. I got up every day and I said, Lord, you know I can't live in this. I'm asking you, please do not allow me to have this child. And I lost the baby. All I can say is that God is good. Because I knew that if I had that child, I was going to have to walk away from that child for my own sake, for my own health, for my own life. I knew. And I prayed to God and said, you know, God, don't let me have this child.
But you lost the child, Aloun, and he beat you for losing the child.
Yes. Because he said that I had a son, because my son Dominic was at the time Dominic was about 12, that I caused him to lose a child, and I already had a child for myself.
How did you decide in summer of 93 that this was it? I'm done.
You know, I was in Pittsburgh and I was coming back to Jamaica, and there was this show, Heraldo, and they were talking about men who abused women. And we were watching the show together, and he said, "Oh, I do it all the time. There's nothing wrong with it." And I said to myself, this man he's going to continue like this. And I took a knife, and I went to bed with the knife. And I said, if he abused me again, I was going to use the knife. And then I said to myself, no, I'm not going to do this, because then I'd have my son without a mother.
For the lady who is watching, who is at the place where you were, doesn't know what to do, may have kids, has no idea of the next step, what would your word be to that woman who's watching tonight?
I sent you some resources where people can call and be referred to where they can get help. When this happened to me, I didn't know where I could get any help. And so I had to get counseling. And, I think I told you this when I asked my counselor, why would God allow this to happen to me? And he told me, because he's going to use you to talk to women about this problem. There are people who keep saying, why she always up on TV or up on radio talk about this? Why she don't stop? Why she one talking? The fact is that probably I'm the only one talking, because I'm the only one who come out. And I understand that there are women who, because of the shame and because of just having to live in this society, that they would never speak publicly about what is happening to them. But there are resources now where people can call and people can get help.
And let me ask you about the women who have children who think, let me stay for the kids.
It's a very hard decision, but the kids are just as abused when they see this happen to their parents. They are living in an abusive situation, and I do not think that it would be good for the kids to keep them in that situation. There are some times, and I know of situations, where women leave the children, get themselves sorted out, and then take their children afterwards. I have had women who speak to me about the fact that they didn't feel they had a choice and they had to stay in that relationship because they needed to protect what they thought protecting their children. And I know some of those children resent the mother for staying in the relationship while they were there and it was happening. I've spoken to adult children who have finally understood the sacrifice that their mother might have made for them.
Yeah.
She put herself behind what she thought was the best thing for them. I have had women from all levels of the society call me with this problem and saying, what can I do?
Yeah.
Sometimes, they just want somebody to talk to. They just want somebody who will listen to them and who will listen to them without passing judgment. Because one thing I know is that people pass judgment on you. I have lived with that.
That word love, so lovely, right? It's a many splendid thing. It makes you smile, it makes your heart sing, right? If you're lucky, this is what happens more often than not in your relationship, but it is not always the case. And that's okay once there's balance and there's harmony. Love is often tried and tested, and that's okay too. But if it constantly hurts and leaves you in physical, emotional, or psychological pain, something's wrong. And if you're smiling outside, but you're crying inside day in, day out because of your partner's actions, something is wrong. You may have been trying to figure out what the problem is, and in so doing, you may have convinced yourself that it's something you did or didn't do. But in doing that, how many red flags have you been rationalizing away? Love does not hurt, bruise, or break you physically, mentally, or emotionally. And if this is your reality over and over again, then you need to realize that a mistake repeated more than once is a decision. So maybe it's time for you to make one of your own. If your partner won't love you, maybe it's time for you to love yourself. And maybe you can start tonight honoring yourself by finding the information that will allow you to just begin the process of change. You may be battered, but you do not have to be broken. And trauma may have happened to you, but it doesn't have to define who you are. Never forget that walking away from something unhealthy is brave, even if you stumble a little bit on your way out the door. It is an incredibly bold and difficult decision. It's one that will require help, as Aloun has said. The road will not be easy, but try not to look back. Look ahead at the major step you have taken on the courageous path to self-love. And believe it or not, your wounds can serve as a source of growth. Tonight we are affirming, I choose me, my happiness, my health, my life. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to happen next. That is the soul food we are leaving you with tonight.